Time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Prime Time Local News. Connor Chan and Abby St. John here to kick off the week here for you, including with our question of the day segment coming up later on. What does success mean to you?
If I really had to think about it, I don't know, doing something that you've always wanted to and being able to tell yourself that you accomplished it, I think that's what success means, being able to stay true to who you are, but still accomplish what you've always wanted. I think that's pretty successful.
That's a really good answer, actually. It's really deep and meaningful, really. And so we're going to get to some of the other answers later on in the show, but right now let's send over to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we're going to be at Wildside Outdoors, and with the long weekend coming up, the weather has been warming up, so fishing season is on its way. If you haven't already been out, a lot of people will be starting for the unofficial start of camping season. People will be out on the boats, so we're going to be talking a little bit about what you can do to catch some bigger and more fish this summer. We're also going to have a little bit coming up on some boat safety, making sure you're having a fun and safe summer. So we're going to have all that and more coming up, but first we'll go back to the studio where Abby has a look at your local news.
Lloydminster RCMP are looking for the public's help in identifying a suspect who is involved in multiple bike thefts. The RCMP believe that the individual is a suspect of thefts from other different schools, but this is the first video evidence they have of him.
Sometime last week, Lloydminster RCMP was notified of a theft of a bicycle from a school in the 5500 block of 31 Street. During our investigation, we found some video evidence of this theft. And we believe it was not a random act. It was actually we believe a targeted act.
The bike stolen was a higher-end mountain bike. Constable Hagel says the suspect was very motivated to steal the bikes, which is why now is a good time to make sure your bike is properly secured.
Locks, invest in a very good lock. Take your seat off. If you're really worried about it, most of these bikes now you can remove the front wheel from the bicycle.
The RCMP says if you do see the suspect, do not approach him and contact the police. More than 230 pre-packaged food donations filled police vehicles this weekend as the Lloydminster Co-op and RCMP hosted the 5th annual Stuff the Cruiser event. It was a family affair Saturday as residents packed police cruisers with food donations. The event in support of the Salvation Army served as a charitable effort and also allowed kids the chance to check out police and fire vehicles, the type of community the RCMP holds highly.
Community is one of our strategic priorities. It's very important to us inside of the RCMP. So being able to find ways to give back to those in our community is extremely important.
This was the 5th year of Stuff the Cruiser, and a new officer in charge brought some friendly competition to the event.
This year, I left Constable Michael Hagel in charge, and he didn't let me down too bad. He was able to stuff 10 cruisers this year, which is just about on par for my average, but not quite my best. So hopefully he'll be able to do better next year, but it is something that we were very happy to be able to stuff those 10 cruisers and provide that food.
If you were unable to attend Saturday, the Salvation Army is still accepting food donations at their Lloydminster location. All that snow and cold this past winter, plus the sand and salt, that's a recipe for potholes. This year's sudden cold and warm snaps may make it the worst season for pot-marked roads in Lloydminster. That has our city taking some action. The city of Lloydminster is encouraging its drivers to be cooperative and patient as crews work to repair a plethora of spring potholes and frost heaves on local streets and alleyways. Navigating through these natural obstacles on the roads can be tricky, but it is possible with the proper approach.
Use caution the best as you can, slow down of course. If you do not have to move very far to miss the pothole, by all means do it, but drive in the safest manner you can and slow down.
The road repairing process is a year-round endeavor. The city focused on its primary routes to fix first. The process of repairing the roads is different case to case, given the severity of the asphalt's condition and if lane closures are necessary. Citizens are encouraged to report to the city what road areas they see need fixing.
The City of Lloydminster has a website, report a concern. You can go on there and report it, and you'll be answered also to the stage of the pothole or what we're going to do with it. We reply to them, and it's a good recording system for us, so we know how many potholes are reported.
If you want to report a pothole, go to the city's website at lloydminster.ca and click on the Report a Concern tab. For over 20 years, Midwest Victim Services has been working with the RCMP to help victims of crime. For a decade now, they have been working on expanding on their services. In this week's retrospect, I see how much they've changed in the past 10 years.
We do work in partnership with the RCMP to help bridge the gap again between the victim and the justice system.
Midwest Victim Services has been operating in Lloydminster for 11 years now, providing people with a helping hand in their time of need.
Any type of help that a victim needs, whether it be crisis intervention at the immediate time of crisis, also ongoing support, information, and practical help.
The service relieves a lot of strain on uniformed officers.
They're along with us right from, the call out in some cases, right through to the end of court processes and beyond.
Flash forward to today, and Midwest Victim Services have had a major increase in the amount of people being referred to them.
Since 2009, our referrals have gone up 248%. So that's quite a dramatic increase. It means that the police are sending more referrals our way. People are reaching out to us and self-referring. Other agencies in the community are also more aware of what we're doing and sending people our way if they feel that they could use our support.
They have also expanded their services to more communities.
When I started with the program in 2008, we had Lloydminster City, Maidstone, Onion Lake, and Turtleford under our umbrella. And in 2015, we also took on St. Walburg and Glaslyn as well. So we have a bigger area to cover. Because of the increase in referrals and because of the additional area that we're covering, we've had to adjust our staffing and volunteer levels to meet those demands.
Midwest Victim Services are looking for more volunteers to help, especially in the Turtleford and Onion Lake area. If you would like to volunteer, you can head to the Lloydminster RCMP detachment or visit their website. That's it for this week's Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we are here at Wildside Outdoors, and with the warmer weather coming, the Victoria Day long weekend is this weekend, so people are going to be out on the lakes going out fishing. So I'm joined by Janelle Misko, and we're talking a little bit about what you do need if you are going out fishing. So you're holding the regulations book with you. So where can people pick up their licenses, and what do they need for each province?
We do sell both provinces here, Alberta and Saskatchewan. All you need is just a driver's license. We can get you hooked up with either side. I have the Alberta regulations here. The Saskatchewan ones are having a little problem at the printer, so we only have the scan code for now, but we will be getting the hard copies within the next week or so.
Perfect. And being this border city here on the Alberta and Saskatchewan border, do you have to have, I guess, the particular license for each province depending on where you are fishing? You betcha. You need an Alberta license to fish the Alberta lakes, Saskatchewan for the Saskatchewan lakes. There are a couple lakes around here that will let you get away with either license, and it's Dilbury, Sandy Beach, and Cold Lake, just because they are border city, or border lakes, I guess. And now talking about lakes in the area and just in general, where are some good places for people to fish, kind of close to home, but still catch some big ones? So we've got a couple of stock trout ponds around here, Bud Miller Provincial Park, and then we've got the Lloyd Fishing Games, so trout pond on the east side of town. Also, Sandy Beach is quite popular. There's lots of little perch in there to get the little guys excited about catching. They catch all day long, and then there's a few pike in there too. And then a lot of us locals head out to the North Saskatchewan River, and we go down there. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to have a little bit more back from here about maybe what you can use to land some big ones here this summer. But first, we're going to go back into the studio.
Thanks very much, Eric. Taking a look at your current temperatures right now, 18 degrees right now for us here in Lloydminster. We had a very gorgeous day. We had a lot of sun and a few clouds, as we'll still continue some cloud coverage over the next little bit here. As we'll see in the 7-day forecast, we may have some showers expected for the Victoria Day long weekend. Some winds coming in from the north at close to 20 kilometers an hour. There's some records this time of year. 29 degrees was our warmest day back in 1988, while -3 back in 2009 was the coolest day. So take a look at the satellite radar map. Not a whole lot of activity activity. Like I said, we had a lot of sun today over the course of the day. As we head into the later parts of the day, there is going to be some precipitation coming in over the next couple of days here. So we just make sure that you're prepared for all that situation there. So take a look at some current temperatures right now. 16 degrees right now in Cold Lake and Athabasca and Whitecourt. 19 degrees in Edmonton and Red Deer. 18 for Edson and Rocky Mountain House. 20 degrees out in Jasper as well. 17 degrees in Meadow Lake. 20 degrees for both North Battleford and Saskatoon. 19 in both Prince Albert and Melfort. Let's take a look at a little more in-depth look to the regional temperatures. So clear skies overnight for North Battleford. It's 0 degrees, warming up to 19 tomorrow with mostly sunny skies and a few clouds. So Cold Lake tomorrow, 2 degrees with a few clouds, warming up to 15 tomorrow with a possibility of some showers throughout the daytime tomorrow, the high there of 15. For us here in Lloydminster, 1 degree overnight with cloudy skies, and tomorrow it's going to be a little bit cloudy as well at 18 degrees is our daytime high. So here's the next 3 days for you. 75% chance of some showers we'll get on Wednesday with a high there of 10 and a low there of 7. A low of 1 there for Thursday, a little bit cooler in the morning, and then warming up to 13 degrees for the daytime high on Thursday with cloudy skies. It's going to be a pretty cloudy week for the most part. That's a first look at your weather. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
After 4 years of reigning supreme in the Capital District Midget Football League, the Lloydminster Red Dogs' undefeated streak finally came to an end in this past weekend's championship game. After quarterback Anton Mundred left the game with an injury following a 60-yard scramble to tie the game, a punt return TD gave the impression the Red Dogs were going to overcome adversity en route to victory. However, a pair of scores in the final 2 minutes, one which came off a blocked punt, gave the Battle River Shock the 22-15 victory. The Red Dogs end the season with a 5-1 record. The 2 games against the Shock had a 6-point difference. After a tough loss to start the year against Cold Lake, the Lloydminster Extreme bounced back strong this weekend with a pair of dominant victories, particularly a 14-3 win on Sunday. Tyler Morales led the Extreme in scoring with 5 goals and 4 assists. Duncan Knorr and Brad Gargan adding a hat trick each. We'll have more on the squad tomorrow on Primetime Local News. The Northwest Prairie Pirates got their first win of the AAA baseball season on their 4th try this weekend, playing shorthanded at home against Swift Current in Saskatoon. After dropping the first 3 contests, the Pirates got their bats going in a 9-8 victory Sunday afternoon. And the accolades continue to add up for defenseman TJ Lloyd. The Lloydminster product, who recently just finished his career with the Spruce Grove Saints, was named the 2019 CJHL Top Defenseman. The 19-year-old earns the honor after an already impressive resume this season, scoring 45 points in 53 games, earning Top D-Man honors for the AJHL and helping lead his team back to the league championship, where they fell to the Brooks Bandits. Lloyd will compete for Bowling Green State University in the NCAA next season. Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Thanks, guys. Once again, we are back here at Wildside Outdoors, talking a little bit about what you could be using this summer to catch some big fish. I'm joined again by Janelle Misko, and we've been talking a little bit. You did mention some perch last time, but what other types of fish can you catch in this area?
A lot of walleye. If you're going to the river, there is sturgeon in there, goldeye. You'll find a couple sauger and burbot. Sandy Beach has pike and perch in there. Bud Miller and the other stock lakes, they carry some trout in there. So we've got a couple of lures that are pretty popular in the store here. These are our handmade river rigs. They are made by a local fisher lady, and they're excellent for the river. They're heavy duty, so the snags off the bottoms for all the things that are coming down the river. They're really heavy duty, so they catch a lot of fish. They work really slick. We also have one of our best pickerel lures for walleye. These ones are the Berkeley War Pigs. They got a little rattle in them. Lots of awesome colors. So they work really good. And then for your pike, we do have the Len Thompson number 2s, and those are one of our best sellers, and that size especially for the big hook for a big fish.
the good train of thought, that is Big Hook for big fish. Now you guys do also have some bait, so what do you kind of recommend if people are wanting to use bait on their lures?
Okay, we got a lot of fresh stuff in here too. Right now we've got a big stock of night crawlers. We'll be getting our leeches here, we're hoping before the end of the month. We've got a lot of frozen bait here. We've got herring, anchovies, smelts, and minnows in there too.
And now, are there any restrictions on using bait? I know back home from Athabasca, but you're not allowed to use it in certain areas. Is there any kind of restrictions on those?
Your leeches have to be bought in the province that you're fishing in. So if you're going to fish in Saskatchewan, you have to buy your leeches in Saskatchewan. And then no frogs or live minnows or anything like that, but you can have your worms and stuff like that for live.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We're going to have a little bit more just about, again, how to make that fishing season a great one this summer. But first, we'll go back into the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Taking a look at some other current temperatures. 18 for Lloydminster, 18 for St. Paul, 19's out in Vegreville, Vermilion, and Edmonton, 20 out in Wainwright, 18 degrees for Macklin, 24 North Battleford, 18 degrees for Meadow Lake, and 10 degrees in Isle La Crosse. Some other Saskatchewan temperatures, 9 degrees in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, 11 for La Ronge and Flin Flon, 7 in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, 5 degrees out in South End, Slave Lake sitting at 12 degrees, Fort McMurray at 10, Fort Chipewyan sitting at 9 degrees, Grand Prairie at 14 degrees. In southern Alberta, 20s in Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, 19 degrees for both Coronation and Calgary. In southern Saskatchewan, 19 degrees in Kindersley, 15 degrees for Swift Current, 18 degrees for Moose Jaw, 19 in Regina, and out further, 21 in Yorkton and 24 degrees out in Estevan. Now, we are expecting some cloudy days ahead over the next couple of days here, so 18 degrees for us tomorrow, the daytime high, as well as in Vermilion, Marwayne, Maidstone, and Wainwright, 16 degrees out in Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, and Pearceland, 19 for North Battleford, 15 degrees in Edmonton, 17 degrees in Vegreville, 20 for Provost and Macklin. So over the next 48 hours, we could see a bit of some rain there. So we'll see some cloud coverage starting on the Tuesday morning. Then as the colors will start to come around to the area, should be by Wednesday early morning, and then Wednesday throughout the day, we should be experiencing maybe close to that 10 millimeters of rain there for Wednesday. As we take a look at the school day forecast quickly, 6 degrees, 11 degrees at lunchtime, 14 degrees at lunchtime, 17 at home time. So here's the next 7 days. 75% chance of rain on Wednesday, 13 as the high for Thursday, 58% chance of rain on Friday. So the long weekend's looking very, very rainy. There will be some sunshine as well throughout the day as well. So we could see some showers throughout throughout the later parts of the week. 11 on Friday, Saturday, and 15 on both Sunday and Monday. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Thanks, guys. Earlier we were talking a little bit about some fishing tips and how to catch some bigger fish. Now we're going to be looking more at how to stay safe when you are out on the water. So now I'm joined by Deputy Chief Ryan LeBlanc with the Lloyd Rescue Squad. And what are some, I guess, right off the bat, some tips for people if they are going out on boats this weekend?
Yeah, so we're just coming into the May long weekend here. So obviously we want to encourage people to keep alcohol and that off the water, keep it away from their boats. Go through your equipment before you get out on the water. You know, go through your emergency bags. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher on board the boat and all the safety gear that you're going to need. So life jackets, make sure there's adequate enough life jackets for the amount of people that are on the boat, as well as make sure it's ready to go for everybody. Make sure in your safety kit you have some kind of audible device to distress for help. So if you have a whistle or an air horn, whatever works to make some sound so people can hear you.
And you did mention a little bit about some safety stuff people should have on board. We talk about cars in the winter having blankets, stuff like that. So what should people, I guess, on their boats have just to make sure that they are, in case something does happen, they are covered?
Yeah, so we recommend some people get a kit, a bag of some sort that they can store away. Have some life jackets on board, obviously. Maybe some matches, some extra towels, and some clothes just in case that you do get stranded somewhere and you need to keep yourself warm, or you get stranded over in the evening and you won't be able to make it till morning. So it's a good idea to have some kind of contingency plan to accommodate for that.
And you did briefly touch on alcohol. I know it's the long weekend. People are going to be out. They might be enjoying a little bit. What's kind of, I guess, the guidelines? Is it just like with vehicles if you are out on the water and having a few drinks? Yeah, so again, we don't recommend people bring alcohol on their boats. Keep that for the evening after you're all done on the water for the day. It is against the law to consume alcohol while driving a watercraft. So we strongly recommend people just keep them off their boats until they get back to shore. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. We'll have a little bit more coming from here, just again about staying safe and maybe some tips for this long weekend. But that's all for now. We'll go back into the studio.
right, so our question of the day today, what does success mean to you? A couple of the comments, some of the paying my bills and having a roof over my head. Of course, that's always something that is very successful. Being happy with my life, knowing that I have everything that I need.
Yeah, those are always really nice.
I think for me personally, it's more so, that I've accomplished what I want to do and do something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, if it's successful to you, then that's all that matters.
Absolutely. Well, we want to hear what you have to say, so leave a comment on our Facebook page. But let's get to pets of the day, because it's a new week and a chance to win a Pet Pad gift card. So this is Lucy.
Adorable, very majestic.
Doesn't want to go on a walk.
Nope.
It's a leash, but this is Riggs.
Oh, just a cute little guy.
Very cute. Next up, we have Jangs or Dangs.
Well, whatever. It's an adorable cat.
Very cute indeed. Next, we have Jackie.
Aww.
Still just sleeping.
Yeah, just so cute.
And last but not least, this is Lucky.
Just
sleeping.
cuddling with his bear.
Very cute.
Oh,
well, if your
adorable.
pet was shown on today, you're automatically entered to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Continuing our Mother series for the month of May, I am joined here with Jenna, and she's going to talk a little bit about her story. So if you'd just like to just share your bits and pieces of your story.
For sure. So my daughter was born 2 years ago in April. I had a pretty normal pregnancy, nothing too crazy. I was on bed rest a couple times, but it was just little scares and stuff. So I would feel like I was fairly healthy throughout my pregnancy. My labor, it started out typical, and then I did have a few issues and stuff. So I think that kind of started me off on maybe the wrong foot for like my mental state after I had her, just not really being able to like sit up, like there was just a few issues and stuff. So it kind of got things started off on a bad foot, and I feel like it just kind of snowballed from there. So I feel like I knew pretty instantly that something was wrong. I remember when they put her on my chest, I didn't want her there. It was just an instant kind of a rejection. And every time I had to hold her or feed her or everything, I didn't enjoy any of it. So I knew that something, wasn't right. And I remember crying a lot and whatnot in the hospital. And the nurses told me I was going through the baby blues, which is fairly common, but it didn't get better. I think the blues is supposed to kind of resolve itself within like a couple weeks or something. So yeah, I pretty much I feel like had postpartum depression up till she was about 9 months kind of thing. So it was quite a process. I had a lot of feelings of rejection towards her. I didn't enjoy like the typical things, you think that a mom would enjoy, or like during your pregnancy you envision how you're going to feel towards your baby, and I just didn't feel any of that. I didn't remember my mom asking me like why I didn't want to hold her and stuff. There was zero bond, and it was just a struggle for probably the first 9 months, I would say. So.
And when did you decide that you needed to find someone to talk to, or you needed to get help?
So I talked to my doctor in Lloyd, the delivering doctor that I had at my 6-week checkup, and they do the questionnaire that you fill out or whatever. And I was just over wherever the threshold is for postpartum depression. So at that time, I felt almost like I needed to fix it myself. Like he offered, there's different options you can go, like medicine and stuff. And I just didn't want that, and I don't know why. Looking back, like I wish I would have, because I could have enjoyed that year that I kind of missed out on. So I remember him talking to me about exercising and how that can help people with moods and whatever. So I exercised a lot, and I mean it helped somewhat for like my self-care, but it did not help the way I was feeling. So I kind of left it at that point at the 6-week checkup, and then I moved to Edmonton, and I talked to a doctor there. And it was not a very good experience. I was probably 8 months postpartum at this time, and I told him that I was still having these feelings of just not being happy, and I just didn't feel bonded, and I felt angry and just things I shouldn't be feeling. And he kind of shut me down and told me that he asked me if I was breastfeeding, and when I told him no, I wasn't at that point, he basically told me that I didn't really have a reason to be tired or sad, because moms who don't breastfeed get more sleep. Like, it was a really weird conversation, and after that I kind of just like stopped looking for help. And luckily I had really good supports. Like, my family was awesome, I had awesome friends, my baby's father was like, I had really good supports. So I ended up just kind of coming out of it. But yeah, it was a really negative, to have someone turn you down that way when you're trying to reach out for help is like, you don't want to reach out for help again, because he basically made me feel stupid for saying how I felt. So yeah, I kind of just left it, and then eventually it did get better. So.
And for those moms who are going through like the similar struggles that you went through, what would you say to those who are kind of feeling the way you felt? They don't really know who to turn to or what to do to get help.
I would definitely say reaching out to friends and family is huge, but I feel like I would have benefited from more than that, and I think a lot of women would as well. So I think that's a good place to start, is reaching out to people you feel comfortable talking to. And then from there, see your family doctor, and they can kind of refer you. Because even that, I didn't know when this doctor kind of told me that I didn't have a reason to be depressed. I did kind of look into different options for counselors, but like when you Google counselors, like there's just so many things that come up. Like there is no button you can press that's like, this is where women that have postpartum depression should go, and this is who you should talk to. So I know in Lloyd, Midwest Family Connections, I believe, is a great resource. Like if you go there, they could totally point you in the right direction. Talking to your family doctor, like there's things you can do. I think it's nice to have a place like Midwest Family Connections here that you can go to, and they can give you the resources that you need.
I think it's really important to know that if you don't get the right resources, or if you don't feel comfortable, that you reach out again.
Yeah, keep
Sometimes
trying.
you reach out again
that's
and
huge
again.
too. Like, because I look back and I'm just like, some of my friends are starting to have babies and they're just so happy, and I kind of feel like I missed out on like the entire first year of enjoying all these little moments, and instead I was kind of angry and I just wish that I would have kept trying to find someone that would help me. So.
And when was it when you finally felt that you were able to be with your daughter and feel like happy again?
I feel like it was probably right around her first birthday. I noticed that I was feeling better for sure. I don't know if I would have been considered like having postpartum depression at that point, but I just wasn't, I don't know, it was like it was getting less and less. But even at her first birthday, I feel like I was on the road to like a better path. So yeah, I would say around then is when.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming in and talking about your story and what you've been through. I know it's really difficult to talk about, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming in and sharing. I know it's going to help a lot of moms out there.
Yeah, I think that's hopefully the goal, is just to let open up the conversation, so people
thank
can
you.
talk about it. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, it's Sarah from Real Country 97.7, and here's your look at what's going on in St. Paul this week. Portage College is having their St. Paul open house this Wednesday, May 15th. Prospective students can get the chance to check out campus, classes, and chat with current students and teachers. Again, it's happening May 15th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and there's more information on that up at realcountrystpaul.ca/events. Don't miss your chance to grab your all-event pass for the St. Paul Youth Council Laser Tag Night. This event is happening May 17th at Portage College right here in St. Paul, and your all-event pass is only $20. Tickets are available for those 11 and up, and there are only 20 left, so hurry and grab yours now. For more information and to grab your tickets, you can head to realcountrystpaul.ca/events. And if you're looking for something to do with the kids for their day off Friday, why not send them to the Bonnyville C2 rock climbing camp? Kids will get the chance to climb rocks as well as several other activities through the day. It's happening May 17th at Bonnyville C2 for kids 5 to 12. More information on that or to register, you can head to realcountrystpaul.ca/events. I'm Sarah, and that was your look at what's happening in St. Paul this week.
Welcome back to Primetime Local News. Josh Ryan and Greg Buchanan, a.k.a. the Buckster, are here to talk some sports. And it was an eventful one locally, and we have to start on a sour note for, I'm sure, many football fans. The Lloydminster Red Dogs finally lost a game, and it happened to come in the Capital District Championship.
Yeah, you told me this morning, and I was like a bit of shocked. And yeah, to think that the Red Dogs, that's their first loss in 4 years. They had a somewhat comfortable lead, but they lose their starting quarterback, and that's a big loss early on, of like 3 series in. but the defense held them in. Battle River's a good football team. They put up some impressive numbers. But yeah, just a bizarre way to lose when they punt your block your punt with about 2 minutes left, and they score off that. So a tough one for the Red Dogs.
And that again shows you how good their defense was. You lose your starting quarterback, who's going to, or at least was scheduled to play in the Prospects game this summer. He does have. We'll see how bad his injury is later this week. But once you lose that player, you'd think that's going to be a tough break, and instead they end up having a touchdown lead. And unfortunately, they lose it on the last possession of the game.
Wow. Just, yeah, bizarre. You know what? And you got to know the Red Dogs, they'll look their wounds this year, and they'll come back out. And I think more than anything, what they've learned from this, you have a target on your back, everybody wants to beat you. And it has been like that for 4 years. Somebody finally did beat you. And now you just bounce back and put it behind you, get ready for next season.
And they certainly will. You obviously have a lot of guys coming back into that grade 12 scenario. There's a bunch of young guys as well for the program that got a chance to play. A better note, that has some winning note on it, is you have the Prairie Pirates, who had their two doubleheaders basically to open their season at home. Lost their first pair of games close to Swift Current, then played Saskatoon the next day, had a tough loss to start things off, then win 9-8. So they do finish with one win for the weekend. Probably a good result against two good teams when you're missing key guys.
Yeah, you're missing 3 key guys. They're still out at OAN right now. But more than anything, Swift Current's a good baseball program, always has been. They're a 12-month-a-year kind of program, kind of the program that the Pirates are trying to establish here in Lloydminster. And then Saskatoon comes to town on Sunday, and they have they split a doubleheader against them. And at this time of year, it's the timing for the pitchers. It's a lot of things that you're working on the early part of the season that they're going to get better. And they're going to add those 3 players in the lineup here in the next number of weeks, and that'll make them a whole lot better too. So a good start, more or less, for the Pirates this weekend.
Absolutely. Better start and better finish this year was certainly TJ Lloyd. Had a great Junior A season, got to compete with Canada in the Junior A World Challenge. Is now the Canadian Defenseman of the Year for the CJHL, which is phenomenal.
Good Lloyd boy. Boy, would you like to see him in a Bobcat jersey, though. Yep. But, a great kid, and more than anything, a great leader in the AJHL, and show that with Spruce Grove. Carried that team on his back for a lot of that season, including their playoff run, which ended against a very good Brooks team. But at the same time, he's going on to bigger and better things after Spruce Grove, and I'm proud to say that he calls Lloydminster home, and he did some great things in Spruce Grove, and a real good, fine young man too on top of it, and did some great things in the midget AAA program in Lloyd, and another example of that elite program here in Lloydminster, producing these great hockey players and great leaders, and he's both.
And you can add, of course, to other accolades he's won this year, including AJHL Defenseman of the Year before winning CJHL Defenseman, as well as Team MVP, First Team All-Conference.
The list goes on and on. Yeah.
And, of course, we'll suit up at the college ranks later this fall. And you, of course, have him on your show tomorrow night. So look forward to talking to him then. We still have more to talk about, though, in the next hour on Primetime Local News. Welcome back once again to Primetime Local News, and Josh and Buck to talk some sports. On the pro side of things, it was also a very eventful weekend. One of the happiest moments of my sports fan life yesterday as the Toronto Raptors finally.
So is that the greatest moment in Raptors history?
I think it's.
Or is there another moment to come? You hope.
I mean, you'd hope there's another moment to come, but it has automatically become the greatest Raptors moment, and a lot of people are saying the greatest, basketball moment in Canadian basketball.
You got to think so. It was like a movie script. You ever seen Hoosiers with Hackman?
Oh, many times.
You're waiting for Gene Hackman to be jumping up and down the sidelines because it had everything to it, and to bounce in the net, and it was just like everybody paused for about a second, and you're like, and then boom, and then when it goes in, just unbelievable. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I sat there and I watched throughout the game, and then watched at the end, and I had to rewind it a few times, and it just an incredible moment, and I think it's one of those moments that I think a lot of Canadians are going to remember where they were when that was hit. And one of the criticisms for Kawhi, who hit the shot, that he doesn't show emotion. In San Antonio, he doesn't. Like he makes these great shots, and
very robotic.
Yeah, and everybody's excited, and he's like, he wasn't quite like that. Like, even him was over the top, and he was jumping up and down. So you hope now, Milwaukee's very good. You're hoping now this kind of gives them what they want against Milwaukee, and it's going to be a tough series against the Bucks.
It certainly will, with the Greek Freak on the other side. Again, I hope that goes as well as this did, but like you, I had to rewind a few times. There's a couple of great videos. If you go to sportsnet.ca, I believe they'll have a compilation of all the different angles, as well as a couple of close-ups from the pictures, which are certainly enjoyable to see. We have to jump to hockey, of course, because we're into the conference finals, as is basketball now after Sunday, where you had the Blazers also advance. Early thoughts for you, especially, I guess, after watching the St. Louis-San Jose game the other day?
You know what? Right now, you look at San Jose, they look so stronger, bigger, almost faster than St. Louis. And San Jose looks like they're going to be tough for St. Louis to beat. And the same can be said against Boston, against Carolina. Is a glass slipper finally falling off from the Hurricanes? Boston looks like at a different level than the Hurricanes right now. And the same can be said about San Jose. And San Jose's defense is so deep and so good. And Martin Jones has finally figured it out. So it's going to be the Sharks and Bruins.
Sharks and Bruins, to the dismay of many people who have been rooting against Brad Marchand, who got a lot more material to help them root against him as of this past weekend.
Yeah, another cheap shot against Williams, and then his antics on the ice and doing that on his sweater, and just immaturity. And just a kid that you wanted kind of, if he's 15 or 16 and he's doing that and you want to just hit him in the side of the head and smarten up, but he isn't. You know what? And here's one for you. If they go to the Cup final, the Bruins, and they win it, and he goes out of his mind, he scores 10 goals, does he win the Conn Smythe? Like, how do you vote for him?
To my regret, I would have to say yes, he would win the Conn Smythe. I'm not rooting for that.
And does Kyle do the interview?
Yeah. It's
and the interview that he did with Kyle, and then he goes in the dressing room afterwards, and in a scrum, he acts like a jerk.
Yeah.
And the reporters are giggling about it. Like, look at each other, and I was in that situation a few times before. Look at each other and go, why are we giving this guy the time of day? If you want to grow up and get out of high school, Brad, let us know, and then we'll come back. But until you mature, forget about it. Don't give the guy the time of day.
And for those of you who think that the reporter was a greenhorn, he's actually been in the business for quite a while, so that particular criticism.
Yeah, and Kyle's hair does not move. Like, that hair does not move.
I mean, he comes from a great line of Sportsnet reporters that have managed to avoid the Tim McAuliffe treatment. Now, very quickly before we go, what's coming up on the Sportsnet show, or the sports show tomorrow?
Yeah, we have TJ Lloyd, of course, the Canadian Junior A Defenseman of the Year. Also, Ryan Papiano, the head coach of the Brooks Bandits, is there hosting the RBC Cup. They're off to a 2-0 start there. We'll talk WHL League Final with Trevor Redden. And Scott Hartnell, Lloydminster's own Scott Hartnell, part of the NHL Network now. So he's trimmed up and everything, and he looks not like the big...
Hopefully not too trim.
No, but he looks presentable, let's just say that. Okay. They'll be on the Tuesday Night Sports Show live from the Canadian Brew House.
Looking forward to hearing that, and looking forward to the rest of the cast here on Primetime Local News.